Hello, everybody. Greg Harrelson here with Century 21, the Harrelson Group, with my co-host Abe Safa, also with Century 21, the Harrelson Group, and we are here for another week of Myrtle Beach Real Estate TV. And for those of you that watch us, on a weekly basis, you notice that we were out for 2 weeks. Abe was on vacation, well-deserved vacation, and so we missed a few weeks, and so we don't like to do that too often, but sometimes circumstances cause that. But we're going to pick up this week and get right into numbers, share with you what's going on in the market. So Abe, are you ready to get back to business now?
Oh yeah, been ready. Yeah, had a great time, ready to go. I've been still tracking the numbers. As we talked, 3 weeks ago, last time we went live, I started tracking numbers daily now, so instead of weekly.
Yeah.
So I've actually got a spreadsheet where I'm looking at numbers every single day, and I've got some really interesting information to share with everybody. So I'm excited about doing that.
Let's go right into the data today, and then of course we'll have conversations around the different data points that you share. But why don't we just go ahead and get started and share with everybody what's changing in the real estate market?
Yeah, absolutely. So you and I have been talking about this for a while now. Okay, how long is the market going to stay as hot as it is? We knew at some point it was going to at least flatten out, if not start to soften a little bit. So I finally think that we're at the point that we're starting to soften up a little bit. And I'm going to show you some data that starts to justify that. First of all, there was and I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, there was a recent poll done. What they do is they survey a lot of buyers and sellers out there and ask them, okay, do you feel like it's the right time to buy? Do you think it's the right time to sell? And I think this came out in May. And that's when you see this chart, you'll see that's when we started seeing, a flattening and a softening of the market. So in May, it finally shifted over from being where buyers felt like, hey, I've got to buy right now, and sellers felt like the market is so hot that this is a great time to buy. And it shifted over to, in May, 56% of all buyers felt like it was not a good time to buy. So that was the first time that actually shifted over, and buyers started realizing that, hey, maybe this is not the right time to buy. But the weird thing is sellers still felt like 60% of sellers still felt like it was the right time to sell. So we talked about that blind spot between when the market starts to correct and before the consumer starts to realize it. And I think we're in that kind of blind spot right now. It's early, it's the beginning of it, but I kind of feel like, and we see it in offers made, we're getting less multiple offers. Buyers aren't reaching and paying much higher. So we're seeing it on the ground, but it's nice to see it in numbers and in data to actually see what it looks like on paper. So let me show you this chart that I have up on the screen right now. Is pretty interesting. So what this is the number of month supply for single family homes. This is resale only, because I think this is where we're seeing the biggest impact so far. So resale homes, these are existing homes that people own that are selling. This does not include new construction. This goes back 3 years. So this goes back to January of 2018, and it shows how many months supply of inventory there are on the market. So you'll see it was hovering somewhere around the 5, which was a slight seller's market. So anything below 6 is a slight seller's market. If I zoom out further, let's go back 10 years, you'll see, back during the recession, it was extreme buyer's market, like a 15-month supply of inventory. So then it's been slowly declining. Then when you get to around 2017, it became more of a neutral market. Anytime we have a 6-month supply, it's a neutral market. And then you'll see 2018, all of a sudden it starts going into a buyer's market. So I'll switch back to this chart. 3 years, you'll see it hovered somewhere around the 5.5 range up until the coronavirus started, which is right here. And then you see this really fast drop in inventory over the last, since April of last year. All of a sudden, the inventory just completely got depleted. Now, here's the interesting thing. So April 1st, in April, inventory hit, this is just single family home resales, hit as low as 1.1. And we were talking about how crazy that was. There's just no inventory out there for people to buy. So we were like, okay, how much lower can it possibly go? So then, that May report came out. So that I was like, okay, maybe this is the time. And then we started seeing things happening in our market soften up a little bit. And if you look at May numbers, it stayed completely flat. So between April and May is when it started to flatten out. And then you see June numbers came out, it actually went up for the first time. Now, it wasn't a big change, right? It went from 1.1 month supply to a 1.2 month supply. So just about a week more of inventory. But just the fact that it stopped dropping and the fact that it's been 2 months now where it hasn't dropped. And I really think that once June numbers come out, which will be in a couple of weeks, about the 5th or 6th of August, I think this number will go up some more. So I really think that right now is the very early stages, the beginning of the market softening and possibly starting to correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I know I've said a lot, so let me get your opinion on this right now.
Well, I won't give you an opinion on too much of what you said, because what you said was very factual, right? Yeah. And so there's not it was, I mean, the numbers are the numbers. So this is historical charts, and it's charts for the last 12 months and beyond. And so those are factual. I will give an opinion on, okay, now that we've kind of had what we call this, like, if you look at it, it's kind of like a soft landing. It's like we're finding this, like, this leveling off, if not a creeping up of a little bit of inventory. And it's so small. So some people could look at this and say, well, why are y'all even talking about this? Because it's so small. Well, it's bigger than we think, in the sense of right now, this is how it shows up in data, but let me share with you how it's showing up in the field. What we have right now is we have sellers that are very confident, and the data says their property should be priced at $300,000, and they're putting it on the market with an agent at $330,000, testing it on the market. And 2 months ago, that property would have sold probably in the first week, and everyone would look like a hero. Now what we're seeing in the marketplace is the sellers are still doing that, but it's not selling in a week. And now it's actually sitting for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and a little bit longer. We're seeing average days on the market creeping up just slightly. And we say, okay, well, what's happening here? We got the sellers are acting today the same as they were acting a month ago. But the buyers have changed. Their attitude has changed. They're saying, you know what? I'm tired of losing out on multiple offers. I don't feel like I should pay more than the appraised value. I'm just going to kind of sit back and wait to see what happens. So we have fewer buyers taking action. We have more buyers saying, I think I'll just kind of see what happens. Prices are a bit high right now. So that's the conversation a buyer's having. Buyers usually buy off emotion, but right now they're starting to think a little bit more logically. They're saying, hey, gosh, you know what? Maybe the market's a little bit too high, so let me just kind of relax, step back, be patient, see what happens. Again, sellers usually sell off of logic, but sellers are being a little bit more emotional right now. They're saying, well, my friend sold for more than they were asking. I'm going to raise my price to this. I should be able to get it. The market's hot. Even though the logic says that the market could be softening a little bit, sellers are not really listening to that, and they're still going on the market at higher price points. And frankly, real estate agents are willing to take the listings at any price point. So therefore, because sellers are ultra confident and buyers are lacking confidence, now we're seeing that the numbers are showing up, or the data is shifting a little bit. The earliest indicator of the direction of the market is the conversations. When conversations shift at the ground level, those conversations that people are having influence their activities. In other words, buyer saying, you know what, I think I'll just wait. Then that influences the activity, because they don't just get into a multi-bid offer and pay high prices. They end up just kind of chilling out. So their thoughts influence their actions, and their actions eventually will influence the data. And right now, their actions are influencing their data just a little bit by seeing the inventory level go up just a little bit. We'll see, though, week after week, if that's a continuing trend or if this is just a little hiccup. I do believe that we're going to see some sort of trend with some additional inventory. This is happening across most markets in America right now. But I do not believe we are in the midst of any type of crash. I think that the market might be healthier because you'll have more of a balance of buyers and sellers. But I could see this thing ending up at the end of the year, 2.5, 3 months of supply. But I don't see it going up to like 6 months of supply, even in the next 12 months. Purely speculative.
Right. Yeah.
That is completely an opinion and a guess. But that's what I feel.
Yeah, and you said a lot of important things there. I mean, the first one is, you and I talk to a lot of agents across the country. We've got friends that are agents in just about in every single market across the country. So when we mention things, it is, some of it is speculation, but a lot of it is based on data more than just this report, right? So this report kind of solidifies what you and I have been talking about for a couple of weeks. And then we talk to, 20 different agents in 20 different markets, and they're saying their inventory start to go up. Then you start piecing the stuff together.
Yeah. Let me say one more thing real quick on that note. So, if there's people in New Jersey and New York and Connecticut that were thinking about coming down here now, and their inventory is going up, and their buyers in that market are saying, you know what, maybe I'm just going to wait to see what happens. That slows the process of getting a property sold in New Jersey, which slows the process of that seller now being a buyer in Myrtle Beach. All these things are interconnected.
Yeah, and it's happening nationwide right now. Yeah. Now, you said something else that I loved. So we've always talked about, and it's always been the fact that, buyers buy based on emotion. A couple walks into a house and they know within the first split second how they feel. So that has a big impact on whether they like a home, whether they buy a home or not. And sellers always sold based on logic. And I love how you put it right now, because they've kind of flipped roles.
That's right.
So now buyers are being a lot more logical. Now, all of a sudden, for the last 6 months, it didn't matter what the comps were. I mean, buyers were making offers based on what the asking price was and based on how many offers there were on the table. It didn't matter what the comps were. And appraisers were going nuts because they didn't know what to do. So now it's starting to flip around, and now I'm starting to see more buyers saying, okay, what are the comps? What are the last sales? And then the sellers have taken their role and like, well, no, my neighbor just sold for $350 a couple of months ago. I can't take $325 right now. So it's interesting how that psychology has changed, and they've kind of flipped roles right now.
Yeah, and so I've told people, I'm not broadcasting this out and trying to, because I don't believe that there's a crash of a market. I'll probably say that many times because I want to make sure people understand that we're not calling for a crash by any means, but the shift has actually already occurred. We're just not sure exactly how the results of the market's going to be over the next couple of months. And when I say the shift has already occurred, the shift in the mindset of the buyer has changed. There's been a shift. And that the buyer's the one that brings the cash to the transaction in form of cash or financing. So when they actually start showing up, and not willing to get and holding on to their money a little bit tighter, then that influences the market. And that's already happening. I talked to many real estate agents, not only just in our company, and I asked them, if you look at how many buyers you have right now that are waiting for a property to come on the market and they're going to make a move as soon as they get one, versus the way it was 60 days ago. Do you have more or less buyers on a waiting list right now? And they say significantly less. Mm-hmm. That's because some of the buyers are not acting with urgency anymore.
Right. Yeah, and that's where it starts. That's where the shift starts. It's the perception of the buyer and their actions. So anyway, I wanted to show that real quick, and let me go over the other numbers real quick so you have an idea of where we are. Let me just switch this real quick. Switch pages here. Okay, so this is all single family homes across the board. 70.77% of all homes on the market are under contract right now. So back to what you were saying, we're not seeing a crash. We're not seeing a major change. Even if inventory continues to go up over the next few months, which I think it will, it's going to be a long time before we get back to even a neutral market. So it's still going to be a pretty good seller's market. 70.77 of all single family homes are under contract right now. Now this is the resale homes. Now that number has dropped to 62.56%. This is just resales.
Do you remember from what?
Yeah, so I went back through the notes since I started tracking it daily, and we peaked back on April 21st at 69.78.
Okay, that's noticeable because I'm hearing agents and even myself when we go into the MLS, I am seeing more properties in the CMAs that I do, market analyses that I do, or any searches that we would do for buyers. We are seeing a few more properties, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit more breathing room, and this is the area that we're feeling it the most. You'll see when we get into condos, the condos are actually still going pretty strong, but we're starting to feel it some in resale single family homes. But that was a significant change, a 7.25% drop since the height.
Mm-hmm.
New construction is still pretty strong. It was a small drop, 79.15. The number is minimal from the peak. Let's get into condos a little bit. So the condos, overall condos, 67.82% of all condos on the market right now are very strong. But a lot of that is really on the condos that are off the ocean front. So golf courses, anywhere else, that's kind of holding really strong. We did see a tiny bit of a softening in oceanfront condos. I'll show you that number real quick. That number is down to 52.24%. Okay, so I mean, when you look at that, there's less than 400 condos, oceanfront condos on the market in the entire Grand Strand right now.
Yeah.
This is everything, oceanfront, ocean view, anything with an ocean view on it. There's less than 400 units on the market, so it's still very low. But that number was at 53.85 back on May 4th. Minor change, but again, the key thing that I want to point out here is not that it went up a tiny bit. That's not a big deal. It's actually, it has stopped going down over the last 2 months. That overall condo market right now, I think, is at 1.1% of condos month supply on the market, which is extremely low still.
Yeah, so, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but just, Abe, I mean, this is the first time we've reported any changes that were negative. I mean, so even though they're slight, it's just because I'm having owners call me up and they're saying, you know what, I feel like the market could kind of change in the next year, so I'm thinking about selling now. So, everybody has their own opinion. I'm sure half the people think the market's going to go up and half the people think the market's going to go down. I know that, and none of us know who's right until after the fact. All we're trying to do is not tell you what really is going to happen in the future, but we want to share with you what's happening now. And then you take that information, plug it into what other information that you're that you look at, and then you'll formulate your own opinion as to what direction, and then you'll figure out what strategy is best for you. Should you sell now? Should you keep holding on? I don't want to tell you what you should do because I don't know your situation. Now, if we talk to you, then I can kind of give you some advice, but I wouldn't say everybody should sell now, and I wouldn't say everybody should buy now. I couldn't blanket that statement, but we can give you the facts, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I want to reiterate that, you and I have been trying to catch this as early as possible. So we're in the infancy stage. It's not like we're saying it's raining right now, right? Or there's a thunderstorm, but we're starting to see some clouds. Right. So we're catching this so early that, okay, hey guys, there's something to start paying attention to. We are starting to see a little bit of a change. And that's why we're looking at these numbers on a daily basis. Now, land has also seen a significant change. Let's take a look at that. So 21.69% of land is under contract right now. Now that one was 26.12 back on May 4th. So to me, that's significant. 5%, that's what, 25% change, 20% change since May 4th.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a significant number to look at as well, which kind of relates back to the resale single family home market. If that's slowing down and there's more homes available for people to buy, less people are looking at buying land and actually building on their own. So they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
All right. That's all we got for numbers, Greg.
Well, I was really excited for you to get back so we could do this again and to see what numbers you were going to share, because for the last 2 weeks while you've been gone, I've been feeling these things within the conversation. And I know you were probably having conversations with property owners and buyers while you were gone. So maybe you're hearing some of these things also, but the conversations that I'm hearing in the field match the data that you're showing. And that's usually how it goes, but it's kind of nice to know that, to feel confident in what I'm sharing and what I'm, how I'm advising our clients. But I can't wait to see what happens next week. I hope the things reverse and everything goes back up, for a lot of people's sake.
Oh, yeah,
but the truth is that it might be, we may be going into a more healthy market. It might be more balanced, and that may be good for the economy instead of being in an extreme in any one direction.
Yeah, I think it's going to help both people. I think a lot of buyers are going to be relieved. Also, a lot of people that have been wanting to sell but have been kind of frustrated because they can't find anything else to buy. This is also going to help them out as well. You know, I think it's going to be a win-win situation.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point. Okay. All right. So thank you so much. You know, if you want to reach out to myself or Abe, we would love to, you know, help you with any of your real estate needs. You can find us. We're on social media. Here's our cell numbers right here. Text us, call us. Anything we can do to help you out, we'll sure be there. And we hope to earn your business someday in the future. Thanks, Abe.
See you. Bye.